Boz's film, his Romeo and Juliet, is literally about the machinations of composition. It is so overcomposed to the point it starts to examine the very nature of composition itself. You are always aware of the film's hyper-stylized, hyper-reflexive and reactive composition. It's about the machinations of composition, of communication. Also, something that Baz Luhrmann's film has is the best representation of Mercutio you will ever find anywhere. My favorite character in all of literature is absolutely Mercutio. Mercutio is the best character that's ever been invented by anyone. I don't know which Shakespearean scholar or analyst it was, Dryden or Porter. One of them put it really well that, like, Shakespeare obviously loved this character Mercutio, but he was forced to execute him. Lest he take over the play, lest he take it over from Romeo, because he's the most gravitational force of the first half, of the first hour of the tragedy. Mercutio is who the audience gravitates towards. It's who the narrative gravitates towards. Everything insists upon Mercutio. And I love that, like, the first time you see Mercutio in Shakespeare's play, he goes on this long, torrid monologue about Queen Mab that to this day no one knows what the fuck he's even talking about. Boz's interpretation was that he was talking about ecstasy to a certain point until he gets lost in a sort of mania that seems to dictate the cinema itself, considering that he screams and, like, explosions and fireworks goes off. The composition tends to lose itself in a kind of Fellini-esque interpretation of the macabre, of the wild, of the emotionally shocking. There's a lot of satyricon to Boz's composition in Romeo and Juliet, but specifically within the Queen Mab speech. You feel like an alien all of a sudden. The audience feels alienated by the film, alienated by Mercutio's surprising emotionality and his wild hysterics, but you also just feel like an alien looking in because no one knows what the fuck Queen Mab is about. No one's ever known what Mercutio was babbling nonsense about. We're watching Mercutio and Boz's interpretation of the play, and we're alienated by the composition, by Mercutio's emotions, by his outpouring of them, and we feel lost. And it's actually a pretty confrontational scene because we feel attacked. Like, we feel uneasy during the Mercutio monologue here, as you should, because it's a roller coaster of emotion, of hysteria, and every good interpretation of that. John Leguizamo as Tybalt. That style, baby. That is style. And it's probably the antithesis of Mercutio. He is nothing but style. There is no interiority. Deliberately, because there's too much interiority with Mercutio. It's upsetting how much interiority that you receive from Mercutio. You feel uncomfortable.